I want to mention primarily one thing. Open space is open. We very much need people to maintain their social distancing. So that 6 feet away perimeter, and Colleen's going to talk about this, but I also want to let folks know that our popular open space areas are getting heavily used. And so we want to let you know there are a lot of other open space areas that are just as awesome. And you can actually have a very enjoyable time with less parking hassle and otherwise by trying to hit some of these lesser used open space areas. So I want to highlight a couple of them. There's some in the East Mountains, believe it or not, that the city runs. Milne Gutierrez Canyon in the East Mountains is awesome. There's also near Golden, which is on the way to Madrid. Amazing Albuquerque open space out there. Montesa Park remains being open. Also, Placitas has excellent open space. You want to take a nice drive. There's also really good stuff around Four Hills. And so these are all, again, less used open space areas, which, again, right now it's a great time to use them because our more popular areas in the foothills are just jam-packed, as I think everyone knows. So Colleen's going to give a little bit of a rundown on those, and all of those maps are available on websites and so forth. I'm going to hold up one right here, which I know, like, if folks want to zoom in, they can see it. But there's open space areas, again, near Four Hills, the Manzano open space. There is a great open space area in the Manzano Mountains. There's also one right in Cedar Crest, and there's also one out by Golden, and there's also one in Placitas. These are great ways to spread out, not just in open space, but also all over central New Mexico to enjoy the open space that's open. Okay, so with that, thanks for the help with the flagpole too. Our Superintendent of Open Space, Colleen McRoberts.
Great, thank you, Mayor Keller. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk to you all today about staying safe in the major public open space and surrounding public lands. You know, we are so fortunate to come from a great heritage here in New Mexico of a land-based people and people who were visionary before us, who fell in love with this landscape and fought to protect it as major public open space. As a result of that, we have more parks and green space, public lands in our area per capita than any other city in the nation, and that is something to be incredibly proud of. And that is why we're able to continue to maintain these properties as being open up until now. You know, being out in the open space and the outdoors in general is a really great way to deal with our stress and to help support our mental and physical health and well-being. So it's a great thing to do, but we absolutely need to keep things in mind right now to make sure that we keep ourselves and each other safe when we're out on the trails. And the first and foremost thing is it is paramount to follow the mandates that have been set by Mayor Keller and the governor's office, and to maintain the 6 feet physical distancing. It's also really important that we maintain those small group sizes. I know you're hearing this message over and over, and it's important that we not consider it only for grocery stores and when we go into indoor spaces, but when we're outdoors as well. We just really want to make sure that we get through this situation, keeping each other safe as much as possible, and following those simple rules will help us to do that. The other thing I'd like to address right now, though, is to really talk about our collective impact as we are out in these really special places that have significant cultural and environmental features, and to make sure that we lessen our impact as much as possible to the plants and animals that we are so appreciating. And so there's some simple things as well that you can do to do that. The first thing is to stay on the trails. It's important to stay on official trails because then that reduces erosion and impact to fragile plants and sensitive soils that can easily have soil erosion issues when we go off trail. The other thing is it's really important to take out our trash, pack out what we bring in. I really encourage you guys, there are trash cans at the trailheads, there's also mutt stations, but I encourage you guys to pack out your trash and just take it home so that we don't have trash cans overflowing. Our staff is working very, very hard to keep these places clean. We're asking each person to do their part as well and help steward these lands. You may even consider bringing a trash bag and gloves while you go out on the trails so that you can pick up trash along the way. And pet owners, please pick up after your dogs. That is so important. When we see these things on the trail, it really changes the entire aesthetics for everyone coming behind you. The smell, the visual effect that it has. Let's keep these areas pristine and clean. In addition to that, these kinds of waste, both dog waste and trash on the trails, have a negative impact to our wildlife and to our water quality. So it's really important that we keep these areas clean. In addition to that, there's a lot of people who I am glad are exploring the greater public lands in the area, but we want you to be prepared when you go outdoors, especially when you're visiting places that you may not be as familiar with. And so some just great safety tips is to make sure that you know where you're going, that you let somebody else know where you're going, and you bring a map. Again, you can get maps on all these places, the major public open space at the CABQ website, /open space, and the other public lands. Go to their website, download a map so you know where you're at. Wear appropriate clothing. That includes closed-toed shoes, hiking shoes, or tennis shoes is really great. And dress appropriately for the weather. I highly recommend that you bring additional layers, especially if you're traversing up to higher elevations where the weather can be quite unpredictable. It might start off as a beautiful sunny day and you could get up there, and even in the summer it can hail. So you can get, there's still snow on top of the mountain, so please dress appropriately. In addition to that, make sure you bring water. We do live in a high desert climate and water is really essential. So, make sure you follow some basic things to keep yourself safe, because we don't want to have added pressure on our emergency staff right now to deal with safety issues and rescue missions when, they're already being taxed to deal with the COVID issue. I also want to remind you that there's a lot of different users on the trail. We have equestrian riders, we have hikers, dog walkers, people of all different abilities. And we really need to be very courteous to each other on the trail. And I specifically want to address my fellow mountain bikers. We have great mountain biking trails in this area, but we are sharing the trail. And when you come upon people to pass them, it's really important that you alert them, that you slow way down and dismount if needed. And I also want to remind you that you can't mountain bike everywhere. The Petroglyph National Monument is closed to mountain bikers, so please be aware of where you can and cannot mountain bike. And I also want to mention that, it is a beautiful time of year. It's spring, there are butterflies, I've seen snakes out on the trail, a lot of wildlife activity, there's things blooming new every single day. It's just a beautiful time to be outdoors in our backyards or in the open space. And so I encourage you to have fun, get to know your environment a little bit better by bringing binoculars and a field guide. You may even consider participating in a wonderful citizen science project called iNaturalist, where you can document what you see, and that goes into a national database that helps scientists all over the world to see different trends, especially as it pertains to climate change. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do with your families right now, and citizen science is a great, wonderful thing to do. But first and foremost, please again, remember to stay safe for your own sake and for other people on the trail, and minimize your impact to our natural and cultural resources. Thank you.